And we're back. Got another one. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, how are you? Hopefully your weekend was well. Kind of debating here whether or not I'm over the Bears' loss or not.
Can't debate that. That was pretty bad. That was
Yeah,
pretty bad. Fortunately enough, I didn't see it,
we
but
know.
I definitely was left wondering, like, what the heck happened? What the
Yeah.
heck happened? So, welcome everyone to Epic Lunch and Learn, the show where real estate meets real talk, and your lunch break turns into masterclass. I'm Dante Royster, mortgage broker, author, and your guide through the maze of money, markets, and mindset. And we have Vince, and we have Mrs. Treanesa Johnson.
Hi.
How
Hello.
are, hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
But before we get going, I wanted to make sure, we are live today on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. All your comments and questions are, we're here for you. If you have comments, you have questions about the mortgage, real estate, definitely reach out to us. I wanted you to picture this. I wanted you to picture that you're setting sail on the grand voyage of your financial life. You're the captain of the ship, the hero, the one holding the wheel. But every hero needs a map. A map doesn't just point to treasure, it shows where you are, how far you've come, and the waters that lie ahead. And that's what today is all about. Your income is the first star on your compass, the guiding light across uncertain seas. Gross income, net income, disposable income. They're not just numbers on a page, they're the wins, the sales, the treasure you'll start to chart your destiny. So ready your ship, gather your crew, and let's set sail with purpose because financial freedom doesn't happen by accident. It starts with awareness, it starts with a budget, and today we're breaking it all down. So join me today. That's why we have Mrs. Treanesa Johnson and Vince. Let's get into it. How you guys doing? Everyone had a good weekend?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yes.
Hi,
Now,
Tanisha. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
now, Treanesa, you go by the Shift Lady. Can you kind of explain the Shift Lady and how that all came about?
Okay. Um. Well, I guess real quick, how the shift lady came. I was meeting with the client, and we were just talking, and she was going over all of like her challenges with money and how she was just always like working, and putting in all these hours, and at the end, it's like she still never had enough. It's like I'm working two jobs. I'm trying to save. I'm doing the budget, and I just asked her. I says, what's your relationship with money? And then when she broke it down, I was like, that's the key right there. So her thing was she remembered growing up where her parents would be like, we can't buy that now. It would always be, you gotta wait, or when I get paid. And so that was like something stuck in her mind. So I took her through some strategies and had her to write down, things like a list of things that she hear her saying. And she was like, wow, that like really shifted my perception. And she was like, I should call you the shift lady. And so she was my first client. And so from there,
That's great.
that was born. That was born.
So it's the mindset shift.
Yes.
So yesterday I had the privilege of, speaking yesterday. I was at
Oh,
Attorney Prayer Legal Services had a home buyers brunch. And
okay.
so, they introduced me. I got up there and it was probably about 20, 30 people in there. So it was a good size of folks. And I started going into the concept of financial buckets and about
Uh-huh.
retirement and how that, basically in retirement, we all have the same four buckets. And the four buckets basically are, pension. How much money is in your pension? How much money is in your Social Security bucket? How much is income is in your inheritance? And then how much income is in your personal savings. And so when I break down the bucket, I
I
say
can't hear
based on the
myself
numbers
though.
that you want to
I
retire.
don't hear.
And so with the retirement, I said, hey, what if you wanted to have $80,000 a year, in retirement? And so, I just, 80,
I
and then
can't
the
hear
average
anymore.
person,
I can't hear.
you can't hear? I can hear. Vince, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear
don't
her
hear
say I
you.
can't hear.
I can't hear.
Yeah, we can hear you. So basically I was saying, hey, if you want to have $80,000 a year in retirement, the average person lives in
I
retirement.
can't hear anymore. I don't hear.
Yeah, not sure. So they were basically saying, hey, look, with $80,000 of retirement, in retirement, 20 years that you're going to live, that's $1.6 million. And so when I said the $1.6 million, and I said, okay, now remember, you still have Social Security, that's $1,900 a month. And that, and if you extrapolate that out, it's about $446,000. Where else are you going to be able to get
Okay.
the 700?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. And then we're like, hey, where else can you get this, $1.2 million? And you see the mindset. The mindset was just going to go down. The mindset wasn't going to work because people were like, well, how am I going to get that type of money? And that's, the mindset shift that you have to have.
What type of reaction did you get from the crowd on Sunday?
I think it was well received. I think it was well received. I think, the concept was, my big theme was self-auditing. We've been, for so many years, we get scared of numbers. We're intimidated and we don't even want to look at them. And then we start saying we're okay. Oh, I'm straight. I'm good. And it's like, no, you're not good.
You're really not. You're just comfortable.
Correct.
Right?
Or you're able to get by, and you're so used to getting by.
You made it through whatever immediate pain points there was, but you're not on a path.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, we're just flowing here. I don't know if she can hear us or not, so we'll see where we go with that.
Yeah. No. I mean, the shift lady, aka Mrs. Treanesa Johnson, what she was able to do was really, change someone's mindset, and that's what's so important. You have to be able to change someone's mindset, because it all starts in the mind. You have to believe that it's possible, and then we can put the strategy together. So, when I talk about strategy, I'm talking about, potentially, I'm talking potentially like real estate, stock market, because those are the things that can exponentially grow.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
that strategy is the financial budget and the financial planning of the pillars of what's going to be there in those buckets. You refer to them as buckets, but how many rocks or what do we got? We got rocks, boulders, or pebbles in your buckets.
exactly. Right? And it's like, okay, and here's the equation. All right, so we get, and I got the calculator here so we can bust it out, right? We got, let's see. I got the calculator here. Where is it? There you go. 1,900 times 12 is 22,800. Okay. And so with the 22,800,
he's calling the 1,900 the average Social Security benefit.
Correct. And then we multiply that by 20 years, the average that you're actually going to be living in the living in retirement. So that's $456,000. So then we minus that. Let's say you wanted, $80,000 a year. And then we basically say, okay, where else do I get the $1.144 million? How does that money come about? And so you say, okay, what if I, pay off my house? Right. Correct. Because we have a house that's paid off. Average house right now, let's just say it's 450. So 450,000 minus realtor fees. Let's just say, it's 420. So there we go. Now we got another 420 that can go there. But we soon recognize that that's not going to be enough either. We're going to have to do something else.
And we touched on it a little bit on the last show on Thursday, right? For retirees, giving up the house earlier and moving to a high rise or an apartment that has more amenities to avoid the home ownership to reduce that cost. And I think she's back with us, so let's kind of bring her back into the show.
Yeah, it looks like Miss Treanesa, can you hear us? Okay. Yeah, her mic is off.
Can
Gotcha.
you hear me? I can't hear anything.
So we can hear you, but you can't hear
Yeah.
us? You can't hear us? Yeah, she's having
Yeah.
mic issues. Yeah, her best bet is to try to log back in. But yeah, the situation. So it's like, okay, and sometimes, hey, so I got this house, I paid it off, and now I sell it. I'm still short $724,000. So now how much is in my Roth IRA? How much is in my 401k? Could I potentially look to go ahead and buy another real estate property, right? Because I think
Correct.
there's a level, and this is the thing I've been trying to kind of hypothesize, because it's all based on different age groups, right? Some
Right.
age, if it's a different conversation if I'm 24 years old having this versus a conversation if I'm 30 years old, if I'm 42 years old, if I'm 55 years old. There's different decades. There's going to be different information or different ways to attack it. And I look at it as kind of a left hand, right hand. There's a growth mechanism, and then there's an income mechanism. And so, like, if I'm in my 60s, some of the stuff that I'm saying right now may not resonate because
True.
I don't have another 20, 30 years, at least mentally, that I want to continue to put this money out.
Yeah, I mean, and also too, right? Everything's in the different age buckets of where your planning is, where that growth is, or where you are in the life cycle. The other thing too is you can't forget about the unexpected that comes along the way. Like
Correct.
and like I mean, and granted, you know a little bit about all my medical stuff. I looked at today's outline a little bit, and I was going to kind of throw it out there of your income's your biggest wealth provider. Basically, it's by doing the right thing. And over my years, my motivation was work, right? I use money as a way of solving problems. You got a problem? Just make more money, right? That was my mindset. And what changed when I got sick, I couldn't work no more, right? You do
Right.
this with me now, right? But regardless of how big, where those pillars are, at 45 years old, when you lose your ability to work, the mindset changes. And when looking back at 20 years in the industry, I could say, man, there's so many different ways I could have looked at things.
Yeah, I'm not going to name any names, but I was thinking about that same concept. Health is wealth, and we really learned
Yeah,
that
I
in the
mean,
pandemic. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It is like you can't. I mean, what would you rather have? Would you rather have $1 million or be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life?
correct.
I
You health is wealth, right? There is no doubt about it, right?
100%.
Without your health, you can't do anything.
Correct.
This is what it comes down to, right?
Correct.
You can't enjoy what you're trying to do if you
Correct.
don't have the health. If you don't
Right.
have the health, you don't have the wealth. It is all ties into that. And not to go off on that. I mean, most of our audience are self-employed or entrepreneurs, salespeople that we work for 100% commission, and we don't have 9-to-5 standard jobs. And you get mixed up in that process of, well, I just got to work. 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 And you forget about all the other stuff around it.
Correct. So, I mean, from a sales perspective or entrepreneurial spirit, we always have to stop, breathe, and smell the roses, smell the beautiful flowers, smell the life that you're creating. Appreciate where you are. The fact that you're even able to get up every day, and go out and try to fight for a future that you want to obtain. So,
Correct.
there is that level, right? There is that level of just the basics. Be grateful. Have gratitude of every day that you can breathe air and have the same fight to go after it. But then, once you're past that, you have that sense, but you go past it, you have to recognize, what am I solving for? And so the self-auditing is so important before you even seek out a professional, because normally, like, what's the first thing I need to do?
Right.
You need to know what problem do you need someone to solve for you.
Right. You need to audit yourself first and figure out where you go. And when you go from one step to the next, don't forget about how and what you needed to do to get to the first step. You still need to touch back on that.
Correct. And so it's just so important. And that was kind of the message I wanted to bring home, because there was just so many different walks of life. So there were people there that were renters. I said, how many people are first-time home buyers, or people that don't own a house, and there was a couple hands there. And then how many people were homeowners? So it's different messaging. Sometimes when you have those platforms, you're almost having to say different concepts. And it's not that I'm moving around. It's just like, well, I have to speak to you, but I don't, I said, hey, for all the renters, I just got, 3 things. What are the 3 things that people are going to ask me if you're if you've never bought a house? You're going to ask me, what's the mortgage payment? How much money do I need to bring to closing? And what's the rate? And I said, the third question, what's the rate? You should not worry about that because it's less than 100%. And that's how much you're paying every month.
In rent.
In rent. You are paying 100% interest every month.
Yep.
So don't worry. It's going to be less than 100%. They looked at me at first because, I started off like, hey, don't worry. It's less than 100%. They're like, what is this guy talking? Hey, that's what you're paying right now. That is what you're paying right now. So I'm going to do you a favor. It's going to be less than 100%. Sound like a good deal?
Right. Or it's a little bit of a reverse of the question. How much more can you pay from what you're currently paying? And then we can talk about what it is. Because we know owning a house is going to be more than rent.
Correct.
Right. Which goes to mindset.
Correct.
Sometimes we have clients come to us that, well, I don't want to increase my monthly payment of what I'm paying rent to buy a house. And there's ways of doing that. Then you need more down or whatever that is. And I know that's not the conversation here. So I don't want to make today about business. I know we got different things here, but it is part of the thing. And you have to figure out different ways. Like I said, my mindset has changed now. My hustle's different, right?
Correct.
My day-to-day now is I'm not doing a 9 to 5. I come on here and share some information with you, and my day's consumed with doctor's appointments, right? Or medical testing and everything else. And my motivation previously to all that was whatever's going on, it doesn't matter. Just make money and it'll solve it. But when you lose the ability to make the money, then everything changes, that mindset, and that shift has to happen.
Correct. And Mrs. Treanesa Johnson is with us. I think can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Oh.
Yes, I'm back. I had to go in and come out. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, because we were talking. I was like, man, I have some questions for her. But you see where we're going with that? Obviously,
I do.
And we understand you. So my thing, and I love how you said relationship with money. If money was a person in your life, what would it be? Would it be a friend, a foe, a husband or wife, a constant argument that you have? I think that relationship is what you're talking about, right?
Yes. Are you asking me that question personally to answer?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. For me, my relationship would be my husband. I would say that because it's like, I love it, and I feel that money is energy. And so if you can't chase it, because if you chase it, it's going to run from you, so the thing is, love it, command it to do what you want it to do, and you do the mindset shift of, no, it's chasing me. The money's chasing me. All the money's chasing me. And then that way it's like you can't chase something if something can't chase you if you're chasing it. So the thing is, you want to make it be the opposite. And that alleviates the hustle, that alleviates all of the stress, and it's a process. It's going to take a minute, but once you get there and know that, no, it's right here, it's behind me, it's running after me, and it takes away all of the stress. And then you start seeing abundance. The universe is just sending it. And you're like, and it may not be in the form that you want, but you're going to get that abundance, so that's a lot of what I have been instilling in my clients. And some of them have been seeing good results, but it's all mental. It's all mental.
It's hard for a lot of people to really understand that because they think it's some
True.
application that they have to do. There's some,
Yes.
I got to do this, and if I do this, it's going to come. That it's
Yes.
hard for people to really believe it all starts here.
Yeah.
80% of the battle is all just here of what is possible and what can
Yes.
happen. It really comes down to faith and a
True.
belief. And without a faith and belief, it's hard to really make it happen. I wanted to know, you used the term hustle, and we get that a lot with entrepreneurs. A lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs like the
Yeah.
hustle. But do you see within your clients how they mistake overworking for a progress, and in reality they're just running in circles? Can you talk
Yes.
about that?
Yes. I do, because hustle is where you think you have to do everything. You don't have to do everything. If you're doing everything, you're doing the calls, you're meeting with the clients, you're onboarding, you're doing the paper, all of the administrative, you're going to get burned out, and you're going to be, what, I don't like this. And go back to something familiar, which is somebody telling you, you come into work and they give you your assignments, you sit at your desk and you do them. So to avoid all of that, develop another thing that I'm like gearing into now, is the millionaire mindset. And that is to delegate. You have to delegate, and I know in the beginning, the aspiring entrepreneur that's in the building stage, they don't have the money to hire. But if you got kids, they want to eat, they want to go out, it's like, okay, you show them how to do that. And in the midst of that, you're building within the family, and that's what I started with Johnson Empire. It's starting from home. So you have kids, you teach them how to do that, teach them how to do the administrative, because you can't stay like that for 7 days, 365. You're not gonna even like your business. You're not gonna even start liking. Yeah, it's gonna be like chaotic.
Yeah, no, no, definitely, definitely. Did you ever feel like no matter how much you make, it still just disappears?
Yes, yes,
Without good financial habits, it
yes,
really doesn't matter how much money you make.
yes.
You know,
And the
you know what I mean? Go ahead.
and the thing that I find is, people will say, do a budget, create you a budget. But if you're creating a budget on a lack mindset, what is that? What, like creating a, I'm still, you still, it all has to be mental. You can't just tell a person to create a budget if you're not starting from the inside out, because they're not going to see it.
Right.
Hey,
You
hey,
know, go ahead, Vince.
I'm sorry. I'm glancing over at some of the questions and I see something, and I know we usually do this a little different, but since there's a question here, Ellie has a question that says, "What's the best way to reset after a financial setback?" And the reason I bring that up right now is everybody's setback could be different. But the
Yeah.
one thing I would say to a question like that, and then we could kind of use this as maybe something to build off of, is when you go to reset and you look at everything that you still have available as options to move forward, potentially look to take one step further back. That may mean selling a piece of property or going to live in an apartment for a little bit to reduce that mindset of I need to go catch back up to where I was, where it becomes a true reset where you're giving yourself some security. And maybe we can add to that.
What do you say to that, Miss Treanesa?
Uh, I would say for me, this is something I did personally, not with the client, and I did it a few days ago. I did a complete reset. I just detached from my work, my business, and I went and I did something that I like, and that's like just taking a walk and, clearing my mind. Sometimes it's something simple, but when I came back, I was refreshed. So that would be my answer. It's just, do a hobby, one thing you like, even if it's just for a day, and you'll see how refreshed you'll feel. So that would be my reset.
I think about what looks worse right now, your bank account or your financial habits.
Yeah, both.
And, yeah. and if and it all starts with the habits. And it's funny because like my dad growing up, he always said 10%, Dante, whatever you make, you got to save 10% of it, for
Mhm.
you. And it really, and I didn't know what he meant. He didn't explain it like, so professionally or anything like that. This wasn't Tony Robbins explaining. He just said 10%, just a random number that he probably got, from whoever. But,
Right.
it always stuck with me. And I've always kind of maintained that mindset that I always have to pay myself, and that's a habit. And
Mhm.
once you get into good positive habits,
Mhm.
that can, that leads you down a path. So even though life is rough, life be lifing and stuff happens, you have the ability to say, okay, I can make some, I've gotten myself, into some financial, trouble, but it didn't ruin me or crush me because of habits that I've developed that I can say, oh, I could bounce back. It hurts,
Mhm.
losing money hurts.
Take it on the chin once or twice, and you kind of know what that works. I mean,
Correct.
granted, too, right? I mean, we deal with people that have to file a bankruptcy or have that on their credit rating, and how do we get through that and things of that nature too. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think that's important, and we can take it from here. And I give you this question, Vince. What's worth more, a strong credit score or a strong money mindset?
to me, the money mindset, the score is kind of it's important, but the actual mindset matters more
True.
because
And
the habits, the discipline to get you to the higher score, anyways, regardless of where the score is. Right?
Mhm.
To me, a credit score, like I said, we have FHA options, we have conventional options. You don't need the correct highest possible credit score to go somewhere. It's at the end, it comes to your choices.
what do you think about it, Shift Lady? What do you think?
I agree. I would add to that because the mindset, even if everything falls down, you built it once, you can build it again. Kind of like the image of a sandcastle. You're building a sandcastle and it just falls, but you can start over and you can think of ways to build it with more sturdiness, if that's the word. Where it's level and just keep building. So I agree with you, Vince. Mindset.
Yeah, and obviously being a mortgage broker, to Vince's point, we have multitude of products and programs. I mean, we can even help investors who need cash out of their properties and have low credit scores. I mean, so we can help people in a lot of diverse situations, and so it all starts with the mindset, doing the right things and getting the right habits, and that self audit. I had a couple stats. I'm always going to be the stat guy, and I thought this would hit home. A couple stats I wanted to do. Homeowners, this is from the New York Post, homeowners' median net worth is 43 times higher than renters. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm read that again. Homeowners' median net worth is 43 times higher than renters. So in let's put in real numbers. That means if a homeowner's net worth is 430,000, a renter's is $10,000.
Wow.
I mean, that's the magnitude of the mindset shift. That it's not okay, because I think sometimes, and it kind of just popped in my head as we talked about this. One of the things about the pandemic, I always try to find silver linings in everything. And one of the silver linings that I found was there was less distractions around, right?
Hmm.
There was no sports on TV, it was less
Hmm.
distractions. And it really allowed me to kind of hone in on what am I trying to do here? Right. I was born here. They tell me I got to get a job. They tell me I got to go to school and I kind of just do what I'm told to do. But what am I trying to really accomplish in this, best case scenario, 100 years of life? And it really helped me just not have all the distractions. And so now that the distractions are back in play, we got all the distractions that you could ever ask for. We still have to stay focused on what is our true goals, what are we trying to obtain in this world, what are we trying to do for ourselves and for our family? And what type of legacy are we really going to try to leave for generations on to come? And so I think, we have to remove ourselves from some of these distractions, hone in and focus on what our true goals are. Once we know, if we have questions, because we don't have all the answers, then we work with professionals like us here and say, here, I know what I want. Can you help me get here? I need to get from point A to point B. I'm tired of being a renter. I'm tired of 100% interest that I'm paying every month. Help me, get away from that. So it is time for our housekeeping notes. Every Monday through Thursday, we do housekeeping notes. We give you some information. This episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, call Epic today. That's 708-905-5300. That's 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. Now, if you need a blueprint, if you need a step-by-step playbook for turning your mortgage into a wealth-building machine, the first step you should do is buy my book, The Ultimate Mortgage Guide. It is available on Amazon. The Ultimate Mortgage Guide will help you. It'll give you a blueprint of products that you weren't aware of. Sometimes when we go to credit unions and banks, they don't have the products that I have. They don't have the other options that are available. So you may think, oh, I went there and they said I didn't qualify. You might qualify, just calling me. So make sure you check out the Ultimate Mortgage Guide. It's available on Amazon. After the show today, we want to make sure that you check out our Epic Spotlight channel on YouTube. It has our most recent episode. Episode is with Natalie Ramos, Director of Individual Giving at Teach for America. She shares her 15 years of experience in nonprofit fundraising and philanthropy. Discover leadership lessons, networking strategies, personal branding tips, and actionable advice for breaking into the nonprofit sector. So make sure you check out Natalie Ramos, the Epic Spotlight interview. It's available on our YouTube channel, Epic Spotlight. And we have our preferred listings. Got some new ones today.
Good. Always good to get some new ones. Get some off the market. Get some new ones in, right?
Yeah, we had several get under contract, so this is super cool.
I haven't heard you say the hookah shop, so I think we got rid of that property too.
Yes, the hookah shop is under.
So I'll let you get started. I won't interrupt you anymore.
All right, so we have preferred listings. We have 1413 East End, Chicago Heights. It's going for $165. Contact Amico Pope. It's a commercial storage, and I always don't remember, as I should remember, her number. It is 312-600-7673. So if you're interested in a commercial storage unit in Chicago Heights, it's going for $165. Contact Amico Pope, 312-600-7673. We still have our two condos, 6945 South Dorchester Avenue, Unit 2S. It's going for $149. Contact Evelyn Wood, 773-718-9742. We also have 2030 East 72nd Place, Unit 3D, going for $109. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath. Contact Evelyn Wood, 773-718-9742. We have 1605 South 16th Avenue in Maywood. It's a 4-bed, 1-bath. Contact Tamika Bishop, 630-479-6352. It's going for $250,000. All right, we have some new ones right here. This is my client's house. She's selling her house. 11339 Valerian, Valerian Way, Roscoe, Illinois. It's going for $265. It's a 3-bed, 2.5-bath. Contact Brittany Schultz by at 815-914-0486. And then we have some new construction properties in Florida. So we do have some Floridians. We'll have a Floridian on the call tomorrow. So we have some Florida properties. 12673 Sin Bay Court, Jacksonville, Florida. It's going for $381,990. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath. Contact Sharday Nix, 904-520-8041. This is actually, excuse me. This is actually all of Sharday's listings right here. She also has 12707 Sin Bay Court in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath, going for $387,990. Also have 9753 Amber Village Road in Jacksonville, Florida. It's going for $277,990. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. And then we have a new construction is just finished being built. It's 10882 Lishwood Way in Jacksonville, Florida, going for $347,650. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath. And then we have 3542 Bella Sarah Lane, Green Cove Springs, Florida, going for $329,990, 3-bed, 2-bath. So for all these Floridian listings, make sure you contact Sharday Nix at 904-520-8041. And Sharday will be with us, Vince, pretty soon, in a couple weeks. We'll get to have her on the call, and she can go over some of these listings. So moving right along. But yeah, those are our preferred listings. We can help you get pre-approved for those and help you get under contract. So love to see that. Now, we do have some questions that are from the audience, which is super cool. Trying to get some questions.
Yeah, I wanted to add one thing about the mindset and the reset. I mean, if you take anything from this today, and if you really think you don't do the things in order to actually reset or kind of change your mindset or unplug, just try and unplug from your phone for the first 4 hours. Find one day out of the week where you're not on your cell phone, you're not answering a call. And that may be just a stepping stone of being able to change whatever it is that you're looking to change.
I appreciate that, Vince. Let's go here. What's the biggest money myth you see holding people back? What do you say, Shift Lady?
Thinking that it's something outside of them.
So all things are attainable, right?
Yes. I would add to that as far as thinking you have to get it. You don't have to get it. You already have it. You just got to know that you have it. And it just takes releasing, just like what Vince said, the detaching, and it's just, I guess, kind of like a yoga class, right? You go there, you don't know what to expect. The first day you go, you can't do all of the bending, you can't do all of the stretching, you can't do the downward dog, you're out of breath, all of that in the beginning. But as you keep going, you get better and better and better. And so when I'm talking about it's all in you, the more that you're focusing on changing all of the beliefs that I find that are not even ours, they're what was indoctrinated in us, that was programmed in us. A lot of the words that I used to hear myself saying is because that's all I heard, and it's like, I don't believe that. It's like, I don't believe. And so I started questioning things, and I guess that's my strong will. But, once you start questioning things, you're going to start researching and seeing, what? It might be a different way. So that's what I mean. Yeah.
I know that earlier in the program you talked about, which I think is so important, you can't chase money. You know what I mean? Money will find you if you're successful at whatever avenue you decide to do. So
True.
you should put your energy towards your craft, your work, and then money will seek you out.
Absolutely.
And so that's that's what I heard you say earlier, and that's what really registered to me. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Anytime you chase it, it's just one of those weird things. It's that dynamic. People are kind of turned off by it, like, oh, this guy's just after money. He just it's not genuine, and it's just a bad odor to it. So I think the thing is focusing on your craft, doing what you do best, and the money will come.
Yes. And my grandmother gave me this thing when I said to me, money is my husband. She told me about men. Back then it was boys. If you're chasing them, they can't chase you.
There you go.
So it's like the same thing with money. I can't chase money because, it's like, okay, it won't chase me, so you want it to be chasing you.
Correct. No, that's awesome. Grandma has some good advice.
Yeah.
All right. So Jared writes, how do we know if we're self-sabotaging financially? Great question. What do you think about that, Vince?
I mean, yeah, you said it's a great question, but I mean, if you're noticing that you're self-sabotaging yourself, you got to change it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're already seeing it, you've known something's already wrong, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, if someone notices and they come to you, it's not self-sabotaging, but if you're seeing yourself, what would be considered self-sabotaging, it has to stop. I mean, I'll put something out there. In like 22, I got hooked on day trading. Right. And at the end of the day, I mean, I made money on it. I was lucky, but in a way I self-sabotaged certain other avenues. So, again, we're all entrepreneurs. We all work for commission. Sometimes it's hard to stop from chasing that dollar because that dollar is the business.
Yeah, I really, this whole income/growth thing is something new, and I'm just trying to expound upon it and get it a little bit more cleaner on my thought pattern. But we're either solving for income or we're solving for growth. I mean, it's one of those two things financially speaking. And so, day trading may produce a income, but it may not. But what's the trade-off? I think is what you're saying. The
Yeah.
trade-off.
So to kind of elaborate on what the trade-off was, it was putting the mortgage business aside because I was watching the computer making trades.
Correct.
Right. So the one they basically washed each other out in the
Correct.
long run. Right. But then it just wasn't doing it the right way of investing.
Correct. So I mean, it's okay. And I think that's kind of my thought pattern. Like, you know, both the mortgage business, building a business, getting clients, having the conversations. That can be an income stream. Day trading could be an income stream, but it still demands the time, and you almost have to make a choice. I don't know if you can have two income streams like that, unless it's hard to flow those two together.
Well, right. I mean, and all joking aside, at this point, I mean, it's not the market that we're in, right? But the cell phone would be ringing for a potential refi, and the stock ticker would be on the screen, and the text message would go to the client, "Hey, I'll call you back after 3:30 or 3:00 when the market closed," right?
Right.
Because it was substituting the sale, right? The trade was the sale and the execution, and that was the chase. And I mean, it was profitable. Don't get me wrong. The market conditions caused it to be fine. But in the end, it just took away from the real estate transactions.
Yeah. So it's just being mindful. What would you say, Shift Lady, when it comes to self-sabotaging? Like, how do you know, or, I think he's looking for, well, how do I know I am? Maybe, I think I'm okay. How do or what signs would you say he needs to look out for?
How's he feeling? Stress. Like, are you waking up out of your sleep? I mean, are you having anxiety? Like what are the key things where with the word self? I mean, because it's something he's getting a warning sign. Kind of look at it like the doctor. You start having an ache, and you're taking over-the-counter Advil or whatever, and it's not going away. You're trying to increase it. It's not going away. I've done this, so I'm talking about myself. Look at the YouTube videos, trying to see about the home remedies. If it's you're getting warning signs. So what are the warning signs that you're getting that you're not really wanting to pay attention to? I mean, because they're there.
And this goes to you, Shift Lady. Can you share one mindset shift that changed your life?
Uh, I was working at a company, and I got freed from the company. And at the time, I looked at like, here it is again. I'm gonna, be unemployed, gonna have to get unemployment and all these things. And after it's settled, I realized that that was the best blessing because it made me take a chance on me. And if that didn't happen, I would have still been going knowing I don't like this, but it's like the comfortableness of it, you know, just not even believing that I can do something for myself. And when that happened, I had to find a way. And that's one thing that I tell my kids, no matter what's happening in your life, you're gonna find a way. If you're in a situation and you don't like it, you're gonna find a way to get out of that situation. Just like in a boxing ring. They tell you don't get on the ropes. Don't let them put you on the ropes. You gonna figure out how to get off the ropes and get off the ropes, so yeah.
I saw Bud Crawford get off those ropes many of times when Canelo Alvarez was he was trying to get him there and he wouldn't take the bait.
Yeah.
So that's no, it for me the mindset shift really changed, I guess, just my peers. I think your friends and who you hang around with is so important. People that are trying to do things in life or are, it kind of motivates me. I don't have to compete with them per se, but it allows me to let me know what's possible. And I've always been a guy that said, if I can see what's possible, if I can hear what's possible, then why not me? I've always been a why not me guy. Yeah. I've never looked on TV and said I couldn't do that. I've always felt like I could do really anything if I put my mind to it. So, but to be around good people. So, shout out to all my friends and family, that have really allowed me to kind of see different things, just different parts of life. It's allowed me to be why not me. And so that's really a mindset shift that, being able to, really appreciate my friends and they open the door and we discuss, we have conversations, and so that's been a blessing for me because it's allowed me to kind of say, okay, all right, I see, and like I say, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, we only get one chance at this and there's going to be some mistakes made. Not everyone's got all the answers and the market shifts and changes, but if you have good friends and you can have these conversations just like today, I think these really can, go a long way for you and improve your situation.
I agree.
All right, we got another one here. Antoine writes, can affirmation really change our money story? What do you think about that?
Yes and no. And I would say yes, because what you've been telling yourself hasn't been working. The lack kind of words and the lack mentality. So if you keep hearing yourself saying this, after a while, the universe is going to hear you. And I'll give an example. Let's say that you say, I can't buy this right now. The universe only hears can't. They don't hear everything, so it's like changing that word. I choose not to buy this right now, or I choose not to do this now, and so just a little tweaking. And I would say no, because if you're still looking at it as lack, it's not going to change anything. You're still looking at your bank account and it's not favorable looking. You have to trick your mind and be like, what, it's $1 million there. And after a while, it will be $1 million there because you're attracting it. So that's why I would say yes and no.
The thing, depending on how I'm reading this question, it's one of those situations. Am I reading it as he's looking at it as a negative? Like, can affirmations really change our money story? Depending on how he's really asking it, to your point, yes or no, it can't, right? I mean, there has to be practicality. But I think, in the theme of this, and this is hard for people, it's about a belief and faith. And you have to be having some level of faith and belief. So if you're, afflicted by, not really believing in atheists and not really believing in faith and belief, you'll have a struggle with affirmations. but what was the Secret or whatever, the book, Oprah Winfrey and stuff like that. I mean, these are things that test over time have worked for people, right? Writing it down. It's not good to just always say, write it down, have a picture, have a dream board, right? Back in the day, I remember, you have that wishful thinking board of all the things that you want, and it would just manifest, and it helps, people, keep the eye on the prize, do not get distracted. And so these are types of affirmations, with the right positivity, I think you can be successful. I think it can change the story, but you still have to do the work. You can't just say, I want a new car, I want a new car, I want a new car, and then, sit at home and watch Jeopardy.
Right.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Right.
But if you're going to do the work, then it'll manifest for itself.
Yeah.
Sound about right, Vince?
Yeah, I'll definitely go on to that one. I mean, I like the standpoint of, hey, you want the new car, go work for it, and you hit your number, you do what you need to do, and you go buy the new car. That I mean, I've done that multiple times, right?
Sure.
But the other thing here too is, you almost spend as many years retired as you did working. So the whole thing of goals and planning and the right mindset is you have to also enjoy life and do the other things in between all these different stages that we talk about. And sometimes we get lost in that, where you don't take the minute to go do a vacation or say, hey, this is what I'm doing, or I'm not going to go travel the world with my wife until we retire. And then you just never know what happens, right? So if you have the time to do it, you need to do it, because that keeps you in the right mindset.
There's a major fight, that I share with my friends about YOLO, right? YOLO, you only live once.
Yeah.
And planning, and kind of, what would the term be? Deferred gratification. And those two concepts, right? Man, you only live once, man. You got to do it right now. I don't want to take that vacation when I'm 66. My knees may hurt. My back is sore. I'm not going to have as much fun. I got to do it now when I'm 30. I got to do it when I'm 34. I want to skydive and do all the stuff. Or, hey, let me not do it at age 34. Let me have that delayed gratification. Let that money compound over the next 10, 20 years. And now that, $8,000 or $5,000 trip, or that, $12,000 trip to Disney World,
cost me $25,000 and 30 years later. Is that how you're looking at it, Mr. Number Guy? Right?
No, that $12,000.
I do that with you all day, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I can always go back and, like I said, it is what it is. I'm 47 years old, right? I had more years of work than I'm going to have more years retired than I have work, right? Due to my medical problems, right? So at the end of the day, here it is. When stuff like that happens, that automatically changes that mindset. There's no going back to what life was then to what it is now. It just doesn't happen. And you can't prepare for that.
No, it's unexpected. Yeah. I think, to your point, then I would say this. I would say the perspective is about your lifestyle. And if those are things that you want to have in your lifestyle, then that has to be a part of the budget. And then that's where we can't be allergic to work more. I always use my brother as an example. Today's his birthday, so happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday.
Yep.
I thought he was your twin.
No, not a twin.
Okay.
Twin. We just look alike. Just look alike. But today's his birthday. He's still a Virgo too, like myself. But so he would work a 9-to-5 job, and then he would go at 6:00. And he's a comedic writer, and he's in LA, and he would work his time at IO and all these places that you do comedy, improv and all this stuff, Chicago Improv and all this stuff. And so I always admired that work ethic, because there is a lifestyle that he wanted to have, and so he put in the work to maintain that. So if your answer is, hey, I want to have a vacation every year, I want to see the beauties of America and the beauties of the world, I want to go to, I just a lady was in here earlier today talking about she was in Japan. She went to Japan in December, had such a great time in December in Japan, she ended up going again. and she just recently got back in August. So that has to be a part of the budget, right? She had such a good time. She wants to do those things. We have to factor those things into a budget. We have to have something written down, and then, and just create our lifestyle around it. That means I have to make extra money, or I'll have to make sacrifices. Either one or the other, right? Either I'm going to make more money to squeeze these things in, or I'm going to have to make sacrifices in what I'm already spending and say, hey, I'm not going to spend that because I'm going to use that money and reallocate it because I want to go to Japan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the trip to Japan, right? It's great to go do it. Don't put it on a credit card, right? Like, don't right? Let's touch a little bit on what we do for a living, right? To where we see things like that happen, right? And to your point about your brother's stuff, right? To us, we're looked at it that we're crazy working a commission job the way we work, with potentially working and not getting paid, right? Like, the normal person would never do that, right? So It's still a different mindset to be able to do what those things are that you want done.
Correct. And these are decisions that have to be made. And that's where, going back to the whole theme of this episode is about self-audit.
Then what about, like, Vince, what you're saying is, with the job, it's no security there. Job is just over broke. At least with the commission, you're
building on yourself.
You're counting on yourself, and you know that you're not going to let yourself down. And that's something that I had to learn building my business as well, is knowing that, just like what I was sharing about the company that I worked for, this person was like always telling me she loved me. She was the executive director, and like wanting to hug me and, making me think that she was my friend. She invited me to her house, which I never went because I'm like, that's going to be weird. I got to report. And so I'm glad that I didn't, because after we went through the unemployment and the adjudication hearing, I got off that call crying, because I'm like, I can't believe she said those things, and it's like, having that is traumatic. And going from there, it's like, you know what? I'm never gonna get in a situation like that again. And I know that I'm not gonna disappoint Treanesa. So if I can work this hard, build this company, I could do the same for me. So that's my philosophy.
Sure. I mean, yourself first and then everything else. But then when you have family, it's your family first and then everything else, right?
Exactly.
Hey, I got to take care of me because I take care of them. And,
Yep.
There's an entrepreneur and there's an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And an entrepreneur works his business inside of another business. And he takes care of that business as he or she takes care of that business as if it's their own business. And there's nothing wrong with having a JOB, even though they do call that Journey of the Broke. But I love acronyms too. But there's nothing wrong with having a job, working for somebody, and as long as you take care of that job as it's your job, you will be rewarded.
Yes, you will.
Majority will get rewarded for that. And for those people that want to take the risk, and want to make something from nothing, and watch it, and see the impact it puts on the world, you can be an entrepreneur. You can go out there and make it happen. And each of them have their own challenges, unique challenges to that position. But, normally a person that can really manifest, especially an entrepreneur, and I really key on those people that become the key to a business. They're the ones that are always taken care of, compensated. The money will come, because they own it. They own it like it's theirs. They take care of it and they watch it. And normally they'll be recognized. And when they're not, then they will leave.
Right. They'll make their own decision and they'll go take their skill set and their hard work and their dedication and go find, their happiness in that employment and everything that goes with it. Hey, man, I know we're getting close to the hour here. Thanks to the audience for listening. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to try and do the whole week this week. Not sure if we'll make it. With that being said, for next week, I know me and Dante mentioned this, but to our audience, if you'd like to join us next week on the show, email, comment us tomorrow, send an email, and we'll see about getting you on. Again, my name is Vince. My email is vince@epic.mortgage. And thanks for listening. I'll turn it over to Dante and close it out for what we need to do next.
No, this was a great conversation. I love the mindset shift. Mrs. Treanesa Johnson, aka the Shift Lady, where can someone get a hold of you and contact with you?
Okay. I'm on LinkedIn as Johnson Empire, and my email is the best way to reach me, and it's johnson@johnsonempire.net.
Awesome. And I hope to have you back on, down the road. Yeah, just to see how you're doing and inspiring.
Okay.
This is what we do every day, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. We're streaming live on these platforms, and we're hopefully, telling people about, good information. And this was a great convo. We're back tomorrow with Matthew Sudica. We're going to be talking about some commercial insurance and the commercial real estate. Interested. He just opened up a new office, so I'm sure we'll be talking about that. He's based out of Nimble Insurance is the name of the company, and he's based out of Florida. So we'll have a good conversation there. He's an insurance broker, and we'll see Vince tomorrow, and we'll do it again. So thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Everyone,
this was fun. Thank you.
This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Everyone have an epic day.
Nice meeting you.
And remember to the audience, Dante's here always, Monday through Thursday from 12 to 1.
Yes.
Every Thursday, Monday through Thursday. It's always him first. So we got guest appearances by Vince every once in a while. Everyone have a good afternoon.
Wow. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you. Thank you.
Not a problem. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.